the Giants have a catastrophic loss in losing Cam Scatterboo, but let's just say it's not good when Jackson Dart is basically wincing in pain on the sideline that his best friend and running back is going to have ankle surgery. And I believe he did last night. San Francisco kind of seemed like that square play yesterday, Teddy, that everybody wanted to tease, everybody wanted involved in, and that Texans tried to blow it there late, but San Francisco, no avail. They're now favorites on the road at New York.
Yeah, Texans tried to blow it a couple times in that game. And San Fran yesterday just wasn't good enough to take advantage. That being said, it is time for our first emergency betting alert of the morning. Like over. Bet it right now. Let me talk about it. San Fran open. Look at lines of Niners that were 2.5 and -3. Total 45.5 as the look ahead line. Open last night 2.5/3. 47 the total. What are we looking at right now? 2.5 mostly out there. There's still some threes. I'm seeing 47.5. I'm seeing 48. I'm seeing 48.5. I'm seeing 49.5 out there. You can still find 47.5, 48 if you like the over. I do that sooner rather than later. The market's saying Giants are an over team right now, and I don't necessarily disagree with that. My power rating for the game is only 2. San Fran, West Coast team traveling east for the early start game. And I wasn't sure how much to downgrade the Giants with the Scatterboo injury. I really wasn't. They're not going to win many games when you give up 33 points in the fourth quarter like they did last week. And they're not going to win many games when you give up 276 rushing yards on 8.4 yards per carry and allowed 2 different 100-yard rushers, And of course, it's the team that was 31st in the NFL coming into yesterday's game in yards per carry allowed. So you can run the football on the Giants. I expect San Fran to do a fair bit of that this week. I mean, they were in the fourth quarter, 2nd and 26, and they immediately allowed us a 29-yard run. That was just a state of the Giants' run defense yesterday. The defensive line hasn't been that bad all year, but it was pretty lousy yesterday. And, of course, they lost a couple of cornerbacks with injuries. You talked about the Scatterboo injury, and, of course, they're already operating without Malik Neighbors. That matters. They were held to less than 200 yards until the last 2 drives when the game was out of hand. Darius Slayton, quote, "It's really hard to see. Young guy is having a heck of a year. Someone who's a unifying personality, an energetic personality. It's sad to see him go down." Running backs don't matter in the NFL. Tyrone Tracy, Devin Singletary will do just fine in replacing Scam Cattaboo from an on-the-field perspective. His energy in the locker room likely to be missed. As for San Francisco, I mean, the Texans had the first 6 drives, all 9 plays or longer, all resulted in points. Houston didn't. This is not a high-octane offense. They were missing their best receiver. They didn't punt until there was less than 5 minutes left in the fourth quarter. San Fran, less than 19 minutes of possession. 41 minutes of plus for Houston in that ballgame. Their injury report's as ugly as it gets. 2 more starters, the defensive tackle, Jordan Elliott, the defensive end, San Akuyanu, left the game with ankle injuries. Kyle Shanahan, quote, "There's not much to sugarcoat there. I was real disappointed the way we looked for all 4 quarters. First half was unacceptable. Second half didn't get much better. Not much to say except that." I mean, this team misses their game breakers. They missed Ricky Pearsall yesterday. John Jennings, Kendrick Bourne, that just aren't game breakers in that sense. George Kittle, it was a horrible first half. That was a really bad performance by our offense. And I think we completely left our young defense out to dry today because I think they played really well. The defense that allowed scores on the first 6 drives of the game, all on drives of 9 plays or longer. San Fran's hurting right now. I don't think that, again, there's a couple of threes out there. I don't think they're going to hold necessarily against the G-men. If you want the Niners that we played crappy in the first half thing, a couple of, coach and player talking about that, San Fran first half might be worth a look against the G-men, if you believe those quotes. I have a lot of them. I got a 5% big ticket tonight in Major League Baseball. The World Series Game 3 between the Blue Jays and Dodgers. The baseball, look, so the football's been crappy the last couple of weeks for sure, and this week was a disaster. Luckily for the all-access clients, the basketball has been just fine, and the baseball has been great. 21-7 in the MLB postseason over the last 2 years, 75%, up close to 40 units of profit. You can get that play right now on my page again, wt.buzz/TC, or just visit the website, WagerTalk.com for the 5% big ticket in MLB for Monday night. I will have NBA posted as well. That will be after the show. I am passing on Monday Night Football tonight as an official play, like I talked about earlier. You can see the Chiefs Commanders free play video on my homepage at wt.buzz/TC or on YouTube on the WagerTalk TV YouTube.
We have an NFC North rivalry game. Looks like it's going to be J.J. McCarthy for the Vikings. Dan Campbell off a bye.
Yeah, we got an emergency betting alert. This one's probably the most urgent of them all. If you like the Vikings, bet them right now. Like right now. We've seen money flowing for Minnesota this morning. I'm still seeing 8.5s out there and 8s out there. I would expect this line to be 7.5 in the not too distant future. So I know 8's kind of a dead number. Doesn't matter. You want Minnesota, bet it sooner rather than later. Look at line here with Detroit 8.5, 47.5. My powering number is 7.5. The market's open 9/9.5, 48.5 last night. And obviously 8.5 is the really number right now. We're going to see, we've already seen Minnesota money. I think we'll see a little bit more. We're not going to see Carson Wentz again. You know, it's J.J. McCarthy time this week. And maybe, again, my powering number is only 7.5. The markets haven't crashed on Minnesota yet. There's still a school of thought out there, myself included, that this is a pretty good team that suffered from some unlucky games and some bad quarterback play, and that there's hope for J.J. McCarthy. Certainly McCarthy was someone who they came into the season with a lot of confidence. And when he played early, he had one good quarter, the fourth quarter against the Bears on national TV, and 7 awful quarters where he looked like a rookie and not a first-round rookie in that sense, or playing behind a good offensive line. Now, this team has just suffered back-to-back losses for the first time since last October. And it's worth noting, when they suffered last October, the back-to-back losses, it was also a Sunday-Thursday turnaround. So they have the mini bye here for Minnesota. They won 9 straight after that Sunday-Thursday turnaround, back-to-back losses. And they were crushed against the Chargers. You know, the 12 first downs in that game versus 29 for LA. Just 3 of 11 on third down. They had the ball for just 21 minutes in the game. Kevin O'Connell, quote, "This is not a bury the tape kind of time for our organization. This is a watch it, view it, own it. Every coach and every player. It starts with me. I did not have our team prepared to play." The defense did get gashed in LA, and that's a concern. They were at the end of the game tied 10th in the league, allowing 20 points a game. Chargers scored 30 or more for the first time all season, didn't punt against this defense. So, you know, this is, again, Detroit's a really good team off a win versus Tampa and a bye, which isn't necessarily an optimal bet on spot. So I'm not going to call this Minnesota. We find out if Minnesota can do anything here, but we're getting to the point right now where if the Vikings have another bad performance, the market's going to crash on them. As we've seen so far today, the market's not crashing on Minnesota. They're supporting them against Detroit in a game where, again, with the extra time to prepare, with the transition from Wentz to McCarthy, markets are expecting better things than what we just saw from the Minnesota Vikings this week.
Jags are off a bye. The Raiders are off a bye. And yet the Jags are just a small road favorite here.
Yeah, this is, I think, likely to be our final emergency betting alert of the show. Let's fire it up there. If you like over, at the over right now, we're seeing significant support for the over. There are still 44.5s out there. There are still 45s out there. The market has largely moved to 45.5 for this ballgame. They're expecting points in bunches. Look ahead line here was Jaguars -3, 44.5. My powering number, Jaguars -4.5. Markets open 3 and 44 last night. And now we're seeing 3 as high as 45.5 out there right now. 44.5, 45 still available. The Jags are 4-3, but off losses to Seattle and then a really bad loss to the Rams. But again, the offense scored 12 and 7 points in the 2 defeats. And then the bye week. The Raiders, again, first-year head coaches, you expect improvement off the bye week. Jacksonville with the first-year head coach. The Raiders also with the first-year head coach. Raiders 2-5, off as bad a loss you'll ever see against Kansas City, where they got out first down 30-3. I don't expect this line to move off of 3. I already talked about where I expect the total to move. Any further moves on this one, only going to be injury related when it comes to injury news. 2 teams that did not play this past Sunday.